We start off in the old Premier League. It is Chelsea against Spurs tomorrow at Stamford Bridge, and I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock for the last 48 hours, you know there was quite a to-do during the Carabao Cup final between Kepa, the goalkeeper, and Sarri, the coach. Of course, very much everything out of Chelsea over the last 48 hours has been, no, it was a misunderstanding, everything's fine, don't worry, we're moving on. Unfortunately, Sarri hasn't quite stuck to script regarding that match against Spurs tomorrow and who will play in goal. This is what Sarri had to say about the whole situation. It will be a decision for the good of the group, for all the players. Kepa has to be mentally ready to play. He made a mistake, a big mistake. There are some consequences. If the consequences is to play, he has to be ready to play. If the consequences is the bench, he has to be ready to go to the bench. Just a reminder that Chelsea confirmed that Kepa has been fined a week's wages after his conduct in that match against Manchester City.
He might as well have just come out and said, look, he's playing or he's dropped. Just be crystal clear. It's not going to make a difference to Tottenham, is it? Whether Kepa plays or whether Willy Caballero plays. The whole thing is just a sham. You've got an owner who's never at the club and hardly ever in the country now. You've got the sporting director left quite a while ago. You've got Sarri, who is staring in like a rabbit into headlights at the moment. I mean, you don't fine somebody for a misunderstanding, as you pointed out in the opening there. And as the other side of the coin is, a week's fine. A week's fine would be missing training on 2 occasions, not refusing to come off in a cup final that you lost. And by the way, how does a goal... I was talking to you earlier about this. How the hell does a goalkeeper get cramp? He's made 3 saves in the game. He's taken a couple of
talking point.
He's taken a couple of goal kicks. There was 3 shots on targets. He probably had to come for a couple of crosses and punching. And he's got cramp. He should be fined 6 months' wages for that alone.
I keep telling you the hardest position on the field, Craig, but you never listen.
Right, here's the thing, Steve.
A week's wage.
No matter what internally they thought, after the game, they both came out with this misunderstanding line. Surely then you just stick to it.
Oh,
and if you're Sarri, you say, look, Kepa plays tomorrow, it's a misunderstanding, it's all been resolved. Move on.
Yep.
And then, no, look, we're not talking about it.
Well, unfortunately for Sarri, he's been showing us over the last 3 or 4 weeks that he can't make a decision and stick to it. He keeps talking and changing his mind the next day. He's not decisive. You know, he's saying there he's uncertain. Does he know the game's tomorrow, by the way? I mean, so there's absolutely no leadership. Craig's talking about the owner's never there. The manager doesn't really seem to know what he's doing either. Uncertainty is what Chelsea absolutely is. And by the way, if he's talking about whether Kepa playing, it will be for the good of the good of the team, why has he been playing all season and Willy Caballero's not been in either? Because he has to play for the good of the team. And again, it makes no sense, because that doesn't make any sense either.
How's he going to do a mentality test before the game, Shaq, with his goalkeeper?
Listen,
are you ready? Are you sure you're ready?
Yeah,
Are you going to stay on?
Look into my eyes. I don't understand it. I thought the response from both Kepa and Sarri immediately after, once the dust had settled, in keeping with the party line, with what the club was trying to tell everybody, I thought it went well. And I'm not sure what happened to initiate the week's fine. Even then, as hard as that was to swallow, I thought, OK, you could get away with that. But then this statement by Sarri just kind of confused the whole situation yet again. And now, us sitting here, even as neutrals, confused. I think the Chelsea fans will understandably be confused because they're not sure what to make of Kepa, his reaction. Was it really a misunderstanding? What's going on with Sarri? How he interpreted the whole situation? And if the fans are confused, if we as neutrals are confused, you know that Chelsea dressing room are equally going to be scratching their heads. Not a good place to be in when you've not been playing well and you've got some big games to come in the very near future.
There's no leadership at this club. There's no leadership in the structure. There's no leadership in the pitch. And we talked about that because there's no captain. And sometimes there shouldn't have to be if you've got strong enough characters elsewhere. Like going and dragging the keeper off. You know, Azpilicueta, who was captain on the day, saying, oh, well, that was over the other side. Not my responsibility. So there's just no leadership. And then when there's no real leaders as players, that has to come then from the coaching staff and the manager. And he's not leading at the moment. He's not. He's caught in the headlights. I don't know if it's because he's never faced these scenarios before. He's managed for quite a while. But he's struggling with the concept of managing this club at the moment and these players. No doubt about it. He's a dead man walking. No matter what happens, he's dead man walking.
Stevie, if you're in the locker room, how does this work amongst the players? Because obviously they're aware of everything that's going on. Do you have cliques who are like on Kepa's side? There are people who want to stay in with Sarri. Like, how does this all kind of play out?
I would think all of the above.
Really?
And players have always looked for an excuse, and will always look for a problem, and will always look for a reason to have a go at or to look at the manager.
Right.
And actually, he's given them plenty of ammunition. Most of it is coming from him. Kepa, I would assume the Spanish-speaking lads will all be with him. If the other ones have got any brains, and the other ones are actually interested in keeping this team together, then they'll accept it and move on.
Right.
That's the question. That's the answer to the question we don't actually know. Is this group actually wanting to stay together for Sarri? And Sarri always says, well, did you see the game at the weekend?
Yes.
Well, yes, they did work hard, but I'll tell you what, if they had lost a goal under the severe pressure they were in the first half, I'm going to say they would have collapsed big time.
Really?
I think so. That's what they've been doing.
In any dressing room, there are players who like the manager, believe in the manager, and players who don't. I think this situation has kind of accentuated your own initial position. If you think Sarri is good for you and good for the club, you're thinking, well, our problems are because of players like Kepa and those reactions. If you're a player on the other side and think that this is a club without leadership and it starts at the top with the manager, coming away from that, you know exactly why you feel as you do. If you're looking for pastures anew, as some of those Chelsea players are, this, again, kind of doubles down on that rhetoric. Those in the middle who are unwavering, you have to realise or recognise the role that Sarri and Zola and the coaching staff played in this becoming the debacle that it is. Because if you allow players to run roughshod over you, that's exactly what they'll do.
The Liverpool players would be gutted if Klopp left. The City players would be gutted if Pep left. The United players would be gutted if Solskjaer left. The Chelsea players couldn't give two hoots about Mourinho leaving,
apart from Jorginho, maybe.
Conte leaving when he did, or Sarri leaving, or whatever. This guy should be sacked. Yeah. Dropped. Kepa. He should be dropped tomorrow.
Kepa should be dropped tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Willy Caballero is an experienced goalkeeper. He should be dropped, fined and dropped for what he did. It was a cup final. And Sarri's already said today, whether it was an injury or cramp, that's going to affect him in the shootout. So we wanted to make the change. I wanted him off. And he was told to come off over a 3-minute spell, and he never came off. He should be dropped.
Should he be dropped?
Not after what Sarri said.
Right, he shot himself in the foot.
He shot himself in the foot. Straight afterwards, it's like, I don't want to hear any excuses. I told him to come off, and he didn't come off, and guess what? He's going to pay for it. End of story. Then we're not sitting here talking about it.
Yes.
That's simple.
So he shouldn't be
Should have
dropped.
been. If he seriously thinks that he biffed him off, then absolutely. But he shouldn't have come out after the game and said, we've sorted it, it was a misunderstanding,
but that goes away
it's
now.
not a problem.
That goes away now with the fine.
How's it gone away?
Well, it's gone away by the fine. So the fine
you said it yourself. Why is he fining him if it was a misunderstanding and everything's okay?
Because it's not a misunderstanding, and that is now clear because of the fine. So the whole emphasis has changed from a misunderstanding to... That's them basically admitting...
But that's what they're sitting here saying. Sarri's an absolute shambles. This is a complete shambles.
Well, the PR hasn't helped him.
You could say it was a misunderstanding, but the fine is because his reaction to that misunderstanding as a player was poor. That's how you can frame this. But I'm with Stevie here. Given what we heard in the, let's say, 12, 24 hours after that incident, you don't drop him. I think they've made a mess of what we've heard since. But given what we heard initially, nah.